All right. Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening to us and joining us from all over the world. We are excited and we're glad to have you join us again this week, which is the fourth week of our Power Apps series. It's been 4 weeks of very enlightening sessions. And it was quite a very interesting thing that over the last week I have quite about 3 to 4 people. Yeah, I have about 3 to 4 people who reached out, sharing what they were working on. Some of the things we did last week, from the I think some of the table compositions we did, some of the app we built, had a few people reach out to us, sharing screenshots of things they were doing. Some even shared their errors. They faced a few errors and were able to even help them do the error, which was very good, which shows that a lot of people are following through these sessions. Like I said, the sessions are being uploaded on our YouTube channel. Last week's session is already on the YouTube channel. You can just go to the YouTube channel to follow through the sessions. All right, so that you can catch up and then follow through those things to build and learn, as it were. All right. Today we will continue with the session. Next week will be the last week of the session. So today we'll be having some interesting things to do today. I'm excited about what we're going to be learning and seeing today. And I think it's going to really be a very good session for everybody. Like I said, during the session, engage us in the chat sessions. Let us know what you feel and all of that. If you're watching on YouTube and you need to pass a comment in the YouTube session. All right, we'll be available to also have conversations with you to help you in your learning journey. All right, it's a session that will last for about an hour, 30 minutes thereabouts. So, sit back, relax. If you have your laptops and you want to follow through, follow through. If you cannot follow through, don't worry, just watch, learn, and then practice afterwards. Today would complete what we continued last week. Last week, Homolola started with us on the sitemap, which is the model-driven app composition. She'll be completing that part for us today, after which we will now move forward to learning a few things about automation. When we build Canvas apps like that, when we build model-driven apps like that, they are all a part of a larger ecosystem, a part of a larger business process in this case, right? So to have those business process operate end to end, to have a full life cycle of those business process will require some set of automation. And one of the beautiful thing about the Microsoft Power Platform is that we are not going to look outside the system. Still in the Microsoft Power Platform, the Power Automate will be of good assistance for us to be able to achieve this set of automation that we're talking about here. All right, in this case. So it's going to be a very good journey today. I believe everybody who is on the call will enjoy today's session. So I have with me today Omolola on the call and Victoria Eroguaye, who I'll be having this session with today. It's going to be a very beautiful one. I want everybody to sit back, relax, and enjoy this wonderful session. All right. Welcome everybody once again. Omolola, how are you doing? Good evening where you are. Uh, Hello, Omolola, can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi, good evening where you are. Victoria, hi, good evening.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Uh, all right, it's good to have you all around. All right, I'm so excited to have both of you here tonight.
Excited to be on the call too.
All right, fantastic, 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 fantastic. All right, so let's get started. So we'll be first thing this evening we'll be completing our model-driven app that we started last week. After which we will then go into automations. All right, I can't wait for the automation side. So Omolola, let's have you, take us through and wrap up what you started with us last week. All right. Thank you. Let's go. Let me just drop my screen so
All
Omolola takes
right.
over.
All right. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm so excited and I'm so excited to be here. And I want to say thank you again, Ayotunde, for bringing me here to wrap up model-driven application that we started last week. Actually, we started this whole model-driven modeling our data from the
No
inception of
time.
this.
Finish.
Hi, Victoria. Do you want to mute your mic? Okay, yes. So as I was saying, right, we started from the inception, we modeled our data. When we were done modeling our data, we created our model-driven application. We also, from the data, created our Canvas app. So tonight we will be finishing what we started, and I'm just going to share my screen with us. So give me 1 minute. I'm going to try to share. All right, I'm sharing just about now. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay, I'm sharing something else. All right, I hope I'm sharing the right thing. Can you see? No, stop
We
sharing
we
WhatsApp.
we can see your instant messaging your WhatsApp.
No, that's not what I want to show. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, this is it. All right. Okay, so let me know when you can see this. Hi, can you see my screen?
Yes, we see your Power Apps and your Word document. Yeah.
Okay, so beautiful. All right, yeah, thank you so much. I can see somebody saying we can see it. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead from where I stopped, like I was telling us earlier. So we stopped here. We added a page, and when we added the page, we saw something like this. So 1 minute. So it's important that we are able to connect from exactly where we start so that we'll have that mapped out in our head and we'll know exactly what we actually want to do tonight. So that's why I'm showing us where we stopped. The last thing I showed us last class. So this is loading right now. I'm just going to show you what, and in about another, say, less than 20 minutes we'll be done. So just let's wait for Power Apps to show us everything that we have. Okay, so it is still loading and we can see what we have. Project management. Okay, let's just wait as this comes out. Okay, let's just refresh. So we added one page already and we saw that page last week. So let's be sure that that's where we are. Okay, so let's not just waste our time. We'll just go back to our Power Apps. So let's go back. Okay, so this is our solution here. And we have, if you come to app, before we had just one app, which is our Canvas app that Kayode taught us. And now we have the second application, which was what we built, our model driven. You can see it right here. Now we don't have any chatbots. We have our sitemap, and that's what we want to do. Basically, when you're saying sitemap, we want to be able to create navigations and all of that in our model-driven application. So if you come to sitemap here, you would see what we've already done, project management app. And now we just want to add flesh to it. So you're going to select your project management app. This was what we created, sitemap, project management app. You select this and we will go right to edit it. Okay, so we don't have anything here. We have this here. So now the first group that we want to create, we have one area, right? So, and I'm going to create, so for this area, we're going to name our first area project management. Now, when we've created the area, you might be asking what exactly is area, but I wanted to see what it looks like. So I'm going to create the area here now, area 1. I'm going to create this. And so in this title, area 1, I'm going to name it project management. So this, then under my area, I have a group. So I'm going to name my group project. I'm going to name my group project. It might not make sense to you now, but you would see exactly what a project means. Sorry, what a group means. So projects. And my sub area, this is where I am going to add my entity. So my sub area is going to be project. So for this sub area, right, I will just come here. You can see where I have component and I have properties. So I'm going to come here, sub area. It's going to ask me, let's say sub area. So it's going to ask me to select a type. So it is of type entity, which means, of course, our tables that we have created of type entity. And it is going to, I'm going to make it the project table, the project table. Project table is also called entity. Table is also called entity, right? So project entity. So you can say project table. So I'm just going to look for, this is it here, project, so I'll select it. So I don't want the title to be sub area. So I can just change this title and just make it. Yes. So as I cleared here, you can see that it has changed to projects. So that's just what I'm going to have. And I'm going to save this.
Lola, you're muted. We cannot hear you.
AY, please, where did you lose me? Hello, can you hear me?
We did not lose you. You just you went muted.
Oh, okay. Sorry, give me 1 minute. So I don't understand. Okay, yes. So this was where we are. So I'll just save this one and close. Sorry, I have quite a number of tabs open. So save and close, done. And I want to come and play this. I want to go back to my app. And go to my model-driven application, and I want to play my model-driven application. Okay, so I will just to be sure, I'm just going to publish this too. And once it's published, it is published. I am going to play it. Okay, so I'll just play it. All right, amazing, amazing. So it is loading now, and we can see projects, Now, you'll be asking, what exactly is your group here? So your group here is your project, okay? And the sub area, this is your sub area here. Okay, so it's loading. Let's just give it a while to finish loading. And we can see the beauty. So now anytime you hear low code, no code, the no code part is actually this. I've not written a single line of code, unlike everything that Kayode did for us. And he wrote codes, to navigate between screen to another screen. But for everything I have done here right now, I have not written one line of code. So we have our project, we have all our projects. So basically, these projects that we have here is our project table. And we remember that last week, Kayode did something and he added, he created project team. That's why we can see it here, because we have brought in the project table. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go back now to my solution, and I'm going to go back. So I'm trying to go back to solution now. I'm trying to go back to solution. So this is solution, and I'm going to click on sitemaps again. And I want to continue editing my sitemap. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to add another area. Basically, I want to add the engineer view. So when the engineer goes into the application, what are the things I want the engineer to do? I want the engineer to be able to see their task, right? So I'm going to add another place for the engineer. So this first one that we have is for the project, where you can see all the projects. And that's why we're able to see all our projects. So I'm going to come here. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to say add. So now it's asking me, do you want to add area? Do you want to add group? Do you want to add sub area? So I'll just go ahead and add another area. So the area that I'll be adding right now is the engineer's view. So first I am going to new area. I'm going to name my area engineer's view. So I can just say, yes, I can just say engineer's view. Engineer's view. Okay, so I select engineer's view, I go to add, and I'm going to now add a group to the engineer's view. So 1 minute, let me just take away Teams from here so I can see this. All right, so what I want to do now, I want to click on engineer's view, and I want to add, so I've gotten my engineer's view. I want to click on engineer's view, and I want to add a group. So I want to add a group, and my group, I want to name my group task. tasks. So these are the tasks of the engineer. I also want to be able to add a sub area. I want to be able to add a sub area. Remember, anytime you choose sub area, you're basically trying to bring in the entity. You're trying to bring in the entity. So remember, we brought in the entity table, the entity project, and we're able to see all the projects that have been added. So what we are going to do now, we are going to add the project task table. So entity is of type entity, that's a table. So I'm just going to come here and add project task. Project task. Yes. So project task, we have project task, and you can save this. Publish. Okay, save and close. Done. So what I want to do now is just going to close this to avoid any okay, 1 minute. Yes, so what I'm going to do now, I am going to go to my app again, and I'm going to select my model-driven application, and I'm going to publish. So I try my best to publish as many times as possible, so I'm going to publish again. I'm going to publish this. And once I'm done publishing this, I am going to play. Now you're going to see two things. One thing that we created before that wasn't there, you didn't see it, and we are going to see it now. Okay, so remember the first time when we came here and we had created the group. The group was called project management, but we did not see it. We didn't see it because we had just one we created the area project management, but we did not see it because we had just one area. So right now you can see the project management because we've added another area, and the second area we added is the engineer's view. So basically what it means is that you can change views. So right now, you're trying to say that this is the project management area, and for this area I have a group called the project, and under the project I have projects, which is all my projects, all the projects that you have added. We've added app development demo, healthcare, staff, Stringify training, Wiki test. These are all our projects under projects, and this came from the entity. All of this was stored in our table. Okay, so if you come here and you select, you want to see all the area that we have, it will tell you that you have another area, which is your engineer's view that we just created. So if you select engineer's view, what do we have under engineer's view? We have project task, okay, under engineer's view. So basically what your sitemap is doing is that you are able to, first, you've created two areas where you can section and say, the first one, these are the things I want to see in my first one. You're able to group everything without writing any line of code. The second one, which is your engineer's view, you've added your table, which is your project task. So you can see all the tasks that is assigned to who, that is assigned to a particular project. So let's just populate this. So basically we are done with the sitemap. All we want to do now is we want to populate, and we want to see how everything will play out. So I'm going to go back to my project management, right? And I'm going to go on that project. So this is a project now that Kayode has created using the Canvas app. So I come into projects, I select one of the projects. Okay, so I've selected this project. So the project is app development. It is in progress. Schedule start date is this. I can just come here and say, so although the scheduled start date, so the sales guys, they've said that the schedule in this Canvas app, they have said that this is the scheduled start date and this is the scheduled end date, but they don't know the actual start date. So that is why I am the project manager. I will just come in here and say, okay, so although the scheduled start date is this, the actual start date, let me just choose last Wednesday. The actual start date was actually last Wednesday. We actually started building this. Sorry, actual start date, Wednesday. Wednesday last week, 16th of November. Then the actual end date is today because we are ending this model driven today. So that is one of the project app developments. We're ending this project management, this model driven side of the project management today. So you can see that. So another thing is, so basically I'm done with this particular one, right? Then I can do another thing. So this is my project task. My project task is all this I can see is the view. Okay, so it's telling you no data available. So I'm just going to go and no data available. I'm going to go and save this. So it has been saved, and I'm going to go to my second area, which is the engineer's view. So I'm going to go to project task, and so I'm going to go to the project task, and I'm going to I'm going to add a new project task. So project. So I want to add a task to a project. So which task do I want to attach to a project? So I'm looking for the project now. I can just app development, app development. So I'm going to select it. Task name. The task name is sitemap. That's what we just did. Sitemap. The task status is completed because I've just finished. It's completed now. We just finished the task description. Create navigation. Create navigation in the model-driven app. Create navigation in the model-driven app using sitemap. Okay. End date today. Start date was 16th. The engineer, let's look for an engineer, Ayotunde Ayola. So I'm just going to save this. Okay, so save and close. All right, so I have another project task, and I have it here. This is just what I just created here. Now I'm going to go back to the project management area. I'm going to select app development. And when I select app development, I can see this task. No task was here before, right? We had no task here before. You can see it here. But another beautiful thing, why we did the subgrade that you didn't see that day, is that if I don't want to leave here and go to another area, I can add a task right from inside this project management view. And that's why we added this. So I can just come here and add a new project. So I've added my new project right from here. So you see, I don't have to create a project. Why? Because I'm coming in from that project that I've selected, which is app development. So it will automatically fill this. Task name, I can just say emphasizing sitemap creation, because that's what I'm doing now. Task status in progress, I'm still doing that. Task description, stringify training. Task end date today, because we're ending now. Task start date started 16th. Engineer Ayotunde is the engineer. Yep. So we're just going to save this. If we say save and close. Now we are still in our project, and you can see the second task just here. All right. So you can see everything that you have created just right here. And basically, that would be the end of our sitemap creation. If you have any question, you might want to drop it before we go on to automation, and I allow Vicky come take us automation. So you can just, if you have any question at all, so you have a question about group, Lola, how did you do group? How did you do area? Did you do sub area? Well, what's the difference between all of these things? I can quickly just explain. But if we don't have any question, I'll just go ahead and hand over to Ayotunde and Victoria to take us to automation. If you have any other thing that you feel I've not done, please go ahead and ask me now. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Fantastic work, Lola. This is beautiful. So Lola, if I'm looking at this right now, yeah. So this is what was seen on your screen right now is like the administrative side, like for the project manager. So that means this is where the project manager manages all the project and even the engineer, so to say, right? In this case.
Yes.
Fantastic. So
yes.
if I'm getting you right, on the bottom left where you have the area, I think you called it the change area, something like that. So that means I, as the project manager, can navigate between my project view and then my engineer's view, right? Where, okay,
Yes.
my tax view. This is powerful. Beautiful. So if I have it, I'm going to just ask a generic question, right? Now, this is the model-driven application side, right?
Yes.
Compared to what we saw on the Canvas app last week when we did the Canvas app, because I saw that you are able to create a new task, even create a project from here, right? In this case.
Yes.
So why do we have to do this? All right, or what's the difference between having to do this model-driven site development compared to what was done on the Canvas app side last week? Because on the Canvas app also we could create projects, submit projects, and we can do the same here. So what scenario would make us go this way, go this route in doing these two kind of applications, as it were?
All right, beautiful. So thank you so much, Ayotunde. This question is very valid. I've had a lot of people ask me that. And also another thing that I would even point out, and I'll answer everything together, is that I've had so many people just turn to the Canvas app while they push out model driven. But you see, for every component of the Power Platform, everything has what the major thing that they are used for. Okay, so for instance, you have an application that people want to be able to just use right on their phone, on their mobile phone, right? You will now decide, okay, now I want to build an application, but people can basically this application is for people that can just do it right on their phone. You want to use Canvas app for things like that. Okay, you have an application where is like you are really tailoring it to people that are in the office setting, okay, where like they are basically in the office. So if you've ever taken this question, you always see it in your PL 100. You want to build an app for people that sit in the office. Should I use model driven or should I use Canvas? Model driven is best for such an application. So if you look at the project that we are building Canvas app. We are building a project management where different kind of people will be using this project management application. So we have the side where Kayode has already shown us, the sales guys. They just want to quickly come, input any projects that we have. Then we also have the project managers, okay, where what those ones do is that they manage the old project. Yes, the sales guys have already said that this project is going to start last week. Is this project starting last week? They also have engineers that they manage, all right? So what we are using this model driven to do is for the project management guys, and we are looking at the fact that they would majorly be using their computer in the office, majorly computer in the office. If you see any question around this in your PL 100, the major difference is if you have any application at all, I'm reemphasizing now, I'm going back. If you have any project at all that you will be using your phone, the first thing is, okay, yes, it's going to be a Canvas application. You have a project where they will majorly for office. then the first thing you should think about is your model driven. And the major difference between the Canvas and the model driven is, for the model driven, you start from your data and you don't majorly write code. However, Microsoft has done a new update now where they've made, for model driven, you can actually write some few lines of code. You can write lines of code now using Power Effects, the same thing you do with Canvas application. However, everything I have done from the inception of this training in here, I have not used any line of code. And so I also, another thing I want to drive in is that I want to debunk the whole idea that model-driven application is hard. It's not hard. Everything we've done is just simple. You know what you want to do. You come in here, map your data, bring in your data, and do your subgrid, do the view. That's all I've done. And basically, that's all this has been about. So Ayotune, I don't know, have I been able to answer your question?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much for that. That's powerful. I just believe that a lot of people following us, those might be questions on their mind, at least for those who followed the Canvas app last week and then who also followed the model-driven journey. All right, beautiful stuff. Thank you very much, Lola. It's been a very fantastic time with you. And thank you for sharing with us from your wealth of knowledge.
Yes, and let me also add, Ayotunde, if there's any question at all, maybe you're trying to do this and you have any question, you can always reach me out on any of my social media. My name is the same thing, Omolola Alfred, anywhere, LinkedIn, Twitter. Just send me a message, say that you're from Stringify Training and you're trying to do the model-driven side of things and you're having this particular issue. I'll definitely help you out, okay? So thank you so much, and that's a bye from me. Bye, guys.
Fantastic, excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Lola, for that. Thank you, excellent stuff. All right, so we'll continue. If you look at what we've done, so we have our application side handled in this case, right? Now, one interesting thing is, if you look at this process, everyone, there's a Canvas application side where a sales personnel can go into passing the project, send the project to the project manager, and then the project manager updates the project time on time. The project manager, assign tasks to engineers and all of that. Now, when those things are happening, people need to be notified, right? The engineer needs to be notified. If there's an update or a progress, an update at all on any of the things that is happening, the sales personnel also needs to be notified, right? Now, when it comes to all of those automations, right, one of the things that is very important is, how do you get to do your automations, right? How do you get to do this automation? And that's why we talked about the synchronization between all of these elements, right? Power Apps, Power Automate, coming together to form a full-fledged solution. So we'll be looking at Power Automate, how Power Automate could help us write, those algorithms, those automated algorithms, in between, that could make, this set of applications that we are building really more interesting, right? In this case, so that could really inclusion to every step in this whole application that are going to be taking us through this. She's a powerful person, and she's going to be showing us how we can bring in automation to be able to do most of these activities we are looking at. Victoria, are you on the call? Can you hear me? Can you hear me loud and clear? Victoria? Victoria with us. Okay, she's not here. Oh, Victoria is not here. Let me see.
Hi, Y. So just give her a little time. She dropped off now. She's going to come back right now.
All right, fantastic. So Victoria is going to jump back on the call right now and join us to take us through the automation side of things. All right, automation side of things, and it's a very interesting side. Power Automate is a very powerful tool in terms of what it could do. Power Automate helps us automate a lot of processes, and the interesting thing about Power Automate is it has a lot of sides to it, it in operate, from the cloud automations to process automations. I'm sure most of us have probably legacy applications that automate. Power Automate can help you achieve those kind of automation. So we'll be looking at all of this automate. We'll be looking at the cloud side of things, the cloud automation, because the application we are working with is a cloud-based application. So we'll be writing automations to just put perspective to all the application that we've built to the entire process, and then that gives the entire process a full-fledged, solution mind when the automation is being included. And it's good to have you around, Victoria. Hi, Victoria. It's good to have you around.
Hello, Ayatunde. Good
Hello,
evening.
you're muted.
Confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, can hear you.
All right. So it's good to be here, and just like Ayatunde has explained, Power Automate is one of the great tools we have in the Power platform, and it is used to automate repetitive processes. So for example, why send emails every morning to a particular employee when you can have that content of the email go out automatedly? So you don't need to actually have to type that email. When you type it once, Power Automate sends that email. When I need to request for leave, why send an email to my boss and expect my boss to type a response to me when Power Automate can actually send the email on behalf of me to the boss, and the boss has to just click on one button to approve or either reject. So just like Omolola has walked us through and our previous classes, we had Kayode show us how. So I'm just going to do a brief of the entire project. Remember, we are building a project management solution where a project manager would be able, a sales personnel would be able to add projects. And after that is done, a project manager would under that project, assign tasks to engineers, and engineers or project manager would come notify sales when that task or the project is completed. So today we are going to be automating those notifications. Firstly, when a sales personnel has a project, we need to notify the project manager to say, okay, project manager, this new project has been added. Just to notify the project manager. So the project manager can now go to the model-driven app to perform other actions, maybe assign that project to create tasks under that project and assign those tasks to a specific engineer. And after the project is completed, the project manager can also go to the application, that's the model-driven application, to say, okay, this project has been completed. It can also go to the Canvas app to say this project has been completed. And when it does that, we need to send notification maybe to the sales personnel, like an approval request to say, okay, sales personnel, this project has been completed. Please confirm that it has been completed. So I'm going to walk us through how to create those Microsoft Power Automate flows. Yeah, those things are called flows. And today we're going to be doing a lot with cloud flows. I'm just going to go ahead to share my screen. Oh, apologies. I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. So yes. This is the project management application that was created the first day of the class or the second day. So today, remember that we also started with solutions, and all we had to do is go to the Power Automate part of things. So from your Office 365, you can just click on this app launcher and it takes you to Power Automate. So now we had to go to the specific, let me just go back. So we have, from when you get to Power Automate, you get to solutions, and we already have a solution. And just like Omolola has walked us through, the solution is project tracking. So in that solution, we have 12 items. We have 2 applications. We have no chatbots. We have no cloud flows. We have 3 connection references. We have 6 tables. And remember, we created these tables when we were doing data modeling. So I'm going to click on Cloud Flows because I need to create the first cloud flow. And the first cloud flow would be when a project is added, that's when a project is created. What should happen? Let's send an email because the person creating the project is the sales personnel. So let's send an email to the project manager to notify him and tell him or her the project has been created. And this is a very simple thing to do. So just going to show us how to do that. Okay, so because it is a new cloud flow, I'm going to click on new automation and cloud flow. It is so we have different types of flows. We have automated cloud flow, we have instant cloud flow, and we have the scheduled cloud flow. I'm just going to quickly walk us through. An automated cloud flow is a flow that would run when an action is taken, when an action happens. Instant cloud flow is a flow you would have to trigger on your own, either from Power Automate or from Power Apps. A scheduled flow is a flow that is set to run at a particular time of the day, of the week, depends on the configuration. So I'm just going to click on automated and we'll wait for that to load. While we're waiting, okay, let's just wait. It has loaded, so I'm going to give my flow a name. I'm just going to type project management. Project manager notification. So yes, the next thing and the most important thing a flow should have is the trigger. The trigger is what tells the flow to start running. In this case, remember that we have a table that's in our database and it is called project table. So it is when a project is added to the project table that we want this flow to run. So the first thing we're going to do is search for the trigger that we need. You can either search or scroll down. So I'm just going to scroll. And this is the trigger when a role is added, modified, or deleted to database. I'm going to select that and click create. So yes, every flow should have a trigger. If I decide to save this now, it won't save because I've not imputed the necessary required information. And you can not also save a flow that has just the trigger. You need a trigger and an action. So the first thing you have to decide with this trigger is the action that should trigger the flow. Is it when a role is added, or when a role is added or deleted, created or added or modified, or deleted? You have the flexibility to choose one of these. So I'm just going to choose added because that's what we want. We want the flow to run. That is, we want the flow to send an email when a project is created. When a project is created, rather, the project is created on our project table. So I'm just going to search for that project. We have tables and I'm just going to search for project tables. So after that, the next thing you decide is the scope. Now, to explain this, anybody can actually add a project, but we want this flow to run when anybody in the business, in the organization has a project. You can specify and say, okay, should it be when somebody in the business unit has a project, or the flow should run specifically for my project, that is this user. If you include a user, you would probably have to include the specific user you want that project to run for. So I'm just going to click organization because that is what I want. I want the flow to run when anybody in the organization creates a project. Now, after creating the project, I need to send an email. That is the only thing I want to do when a project is created. So all I have to do is search for send an email. Would wait for it to load. Okay, it has loaded. Apologies for the slow internet connection. So what I like to do when I add a new action card is to rename. So I'm just going to rename this, send an email. So who do I want to send the email to? I want to send the email to the project manager, I think. Yeah. So because it's not the project manager that will add the project, it's the salesperson. Yeah, most times it's somebody in sales that would know that, okay, oh, this project has been awarded to the organization. We can start working on it. So I'm just going to rename this to send an email to project manager. So yeah, right. I'm going to select myself as the project manager. So I'll set for my email. Now the subject of the mail would be new project created. Dear Vicky, a new project. Now, when sending this email, we would want to also add some details of the project. And in order to get this, we need to find the details of that project from the dynamic content. So when a trigger happens, there are some information that comes along with that trigger. If you check from here, you would see that we have a lot of them here. And that's because when a trigger happens, there are other information that has to come with it. So a new project, I can decide to add the project name. All I have to do is come here and search for project name. So a new project name has been added. That's just it, a very short message. And I'm going to save this. To be able to test this, we need to add a new project. I'm going to open the app while this is saving so we can see. Remember, this is the app that was built during our class. And to add a new project, I'm just going to click on this plus icon. Before adding it, I'm confirming if my flow has saved successfully. So to confirm that, I'll click on back. Yes, it has saved. So I'm coming here to add the project. I'll Power Automate flows. I'm going to select the customer. So we already have list of customer in our system, and I'm just going to pick Adventure Works Limited. Now, I can decide not to add this information because as a salesperson at that time where the project is added, I may not have adequate information. And all I have to do is just leave that because they are not required, and I'll add status. So the status would be drafts because that is what I want it to be. It can be any of these, but remember that this project has not started at all. So we can't pick in progress, neither can we pick review, cancelled, or completed. So I'll leave it now. Well, yes, the project has added successfully. And if you see it here, just towards the left side of the screen, Power Automate flows. When I click on it, I get to see the details about that project. So that first action of sending an email when a project is created has been completed. The next thing we would want to do is remember that for every project, we have some tasks that must be done. And these tasks would be added by the project manager. So the project manager can also decide to add this information that we don't have. But before it does that, I'm just going to check. We are going to check our flow to see if it ran. And to do that, you just need to click on the flow. We'll wait for it to load. While we're waiting, I'm going to explain. So the project manager can also add other details about that project. And Lola showed us how to do that. I'm just going to show us again. So this is, let's wait for our run history. So yes, our flow ran successfully. If you need to see more details about that specific flow, all you have to do is click on the date and you'd see no matter how long the flow is or how lengthy it is, you are going to see details about that particular flow. So yes, when a role is added, this was what was added when that project was added. We selected the business. It's okay, yeah, these are like default things that comes when you add it, but we selected drafts, and this is the project name. You see other details about that project. I can also decide to open the email to see who the mail was sent to. This is the subject and this is the body. Now that is completed. So like I was saying, the project manager can decide to add more details about that project. Of course, you can do that using the model-driven app. And okay, so the current project we added is this. I'm going to click on it, and you would see other details about that project. As the project manager, I can decide to pick some things here to assign an engineer to that project. So I'm going to assign myself to the project. So this is still loading, and yes, so I'm just going to look for myself. Yes, and because these are not required, I can decide to leave it, or I'll add it actually. So the project is supposed to start, let's assume we're supposed to start this today and also end it today. Scheduled end date is today, and we actually started today and we're ending today. So yes, I'm just going to do save and close, and that has saved. So like I said, the next thing would be for the project manager to add tasks under that project. And when he does that, we need to notify an engineer. So we're going to build another flow inside that same solution. Just going to do done. Build another flow is also going to be an automated cloud flow. And the flow would handle the task of sending notification to an engineer when a task is created. So I'm just going to do project management. Engineer notification. So the trigger, sorry. The trigger for this is kind of similar to the one we used. So in this case, we are going to say when a role is added, because to add a task, you need to actually add it to the database. And when a role is added to we have a database rather called project tasks. If you joined us from the first day of the class, you would remember that we created a table called project tasks. So I'm just going to do this. I need just when it is added. Excuse me, I'm going to search for project tasks. Yes, and I'll leave the scope to be organization. Now we've added the trigger. So the next thing we would need to add is the next action that should happen when the project has been added. And to do that, all we have to do is click on new step, add an action. So before we add an action, there are some details we need to know about that project. But because about that task, and we can always do this with the dynamic content, like I mentioned earlier. So I'm just going to send an email. Would wait for it to load. I'll select the send an email card and customize to send email to the specific person I want it to send to. So I'm going to rename this like I always do. Send an email to an engineer. Now, to be able to get, so remember that when you're adding a task, you are adding a tax and allocating an engineer to it. Now, because our engineer colon, if you joined us from the beginning, our engineer colon is a lookup field and is looking up to our users table. We need to get more details about that engineer so that we would address the engineer properly. And to do this, there's a card called Get Role by ID. So get a role by ID. The function of this card is just to give you more details about that role. So you're getting the full information. That's all items in the colon for that role. And you need to pass an ID. You need to pass an ID. We'll wait for this to load. Yes. So get a role by ID. Now I've selected get a role by ID. The role we need to get in this flow is the role that has the engineer details from users table so that we can get maybe the first name of the engineer. We can also get the email of the engineer that was selected. Remember, engineer is a lookup field and it is looking up to our users table. So I'm just going to search for users table here, which is a yes. And the role ID. So in order for, I don't want to pass in a static ID here. I want it to be dynamic. So whenever a project is created, or sorry, whenever a tax is created, rather under a specific project. Yes, remember that we're doing project tax. We need to get the engineer. Now to do this, we can see engineer here, but we have more than one item. We have engineer table name, engineer type, engineer value. This is what you get for every lookup field that you use. So I'm just going to pick engineer value because this is the column that has the ID of that engineer. So I'm going to put it in and I'm coming back to my send an email. So to send the email to the engineer, I don't want to type it like the first one I typed to Victoria. No, I want it to dynamic the engineer. So what I'm going to do is click on dynamic content. Now, if you notice, the heading of this is get a role by ID, and it has numerous tones. So it has returned the role. So I'm going to select that primary email. Then the subject of the mail would be new tax assigned. Now, after that is done, I need to say, let's start addressing or start typing the email. So dear, let me change this. Dear, so I need to address the recipient of the mail with his first name. I will just say, dear first name. I'll pick it from dynamic content. Dynamic content simply means the information that has come with previous cards. Use them in here rather than typing them with a static or a fixed information. So dear first name, a new tax was assigned. Sorry, a new tax has been assigned to you. See details below. Now I'm just going to type the details. The first to be tax name. We can get that from the dynamic content. I'm going to search tax and we see, remember that the heading of this is quite different from the get a role by ID. So for every dynamic content, you would know where that item is coming from. I'm going to do tax name. The next will be tax date. Them two from here. The next would be tax end date. I'll also pick tax end date from here. And the last one would be tax description. So we're going to test this right away by adding a new tax description. Then I'm just going to put regards or warm regards. Remember to always save. So I'm going to save my flow. when it is saving, you'd see it here saying saving, and when it has saved, it would notify you. This would change to save. To be able to test this, we have to go to our model-driven app. This is it. So this is our model-driven app. I remember that we've clicked project already. We've selected project, and we can see the list of projects. And the sitemap Omolola just created is this. So for the project, I would click into the project, this Power Automate flows. I can now decide, this is project stacks. So project stacks has been mapped to the project. So I can decide to add a new project stacks for this specific project. I'll just click on this new project stacks. It will load and I'll provide necessary information. See that this has automatically picked the project that we had selected rather. So I'm just going to pick tax name, Power Automate Cloud Flows. I'll pick the next. The status should be pending. Yes, pending. Description, build a end date should be on the 25th. Start date should be on the 24th. Then I'll map an engineer. So it is this engineer now that would get the email. I'm going to map myself to it so that we can see the email when it drops. And I'll do save and close. So I'll be expecting the email notification. So the email when the project was created dropped. This is it. Dear Vicky, a new project, Power Automate Flows, has been created by this person. The current state of the project is this. While the details, more details of the Power Automate Flow. Dear Victoria, remember that this one, I outcoded Vicky in it. I typed Vicky. While this, it picked my first name because my first name is Victoria. So dear Victoria, a new tax has been assigned to you. See details below. Tax name, this, tax start date, tax end date, tax description. Now, the last thing for us tonight would be, okay, when a project manager says, okay, oh, we've completed this task or we've completed this project, what should happen? Now, would have to build a flow for that. Just come back, let me see. Come back to our solutions because we have to put it in that solution. We want everything to be grouped so that maybe when we're trying to deploy to another customer or basically another environment, that's a production environment, we would have everything grouped. So this is our project, that's our solution. I'm going to go back to the flows. Okay, yeah, it has loaded. So I'm going to click flows. One more. So I'm going to add a new one, and that is when the task has been completed. Now, this flow is going to be a little different from the one we've been creating, the two we've created. This is going to have some complexity to it, but I just need you to follow along. So the name of the, let me just do project management. Project completion. Okay. Now, the trigger for this flow is going to be the same trigger we've been using, just that it is quite different. It's going to be when a row is added, modified, or deleted. I'm going to click create. And the trigger for this flow would have to be, okay, because we want to send this notification, firstly, an approval request to sales. We want to tell sales to approve and notify, confirm that this project has been completed. I don't want the flow to run when the item is added. I want it to run when it is modified. But we can make numerous modifications to a flow, but I want it to be only when the status is modified and it is changed to completed. Now, we can do this with a flow trigger. So I'm just going to type project. Yes. So when they modify the table content project, we need the flow to run. And we can also add, like I said, projects. So we can add trigger conditions to a flow. Yes, trigger conditions. And trigger conditions are what would tell your flow to run. As like there are conditions that if they are not met, the flow will not run, despite the fact that the flow is supposed to run or the flow is supposed to be triggered with each of these. So yes, I'm going to explain how trigger condition works. And you just need to write some lines of code, simple lines of code. You get to learn them and get to learn them rather as time goes on. So this is, let me go back so we can all follow. You'd click on this, click on settings and add a trigger condition. Now the condition I want, I'm going to write the line of code and explain what it means. The condition I want is when project status is changed to completed. Now, before we go too far, remember that we had a table that had, just look for that. Yes, this is our table project, and these are the columns that we had. And we remember that we had a column called project status. So this is project status, and we have different, it's a choice column. We have different options. We also have completed in it. So what I'm going to do is use each of these, use the information here rather to write the trigger condition. The first thing I need to do is to type the letter at equals. So I'm going to say if my trigger output is equal to, so before I go far, I just want to show something here again. Where's that table? So this is the table. There's a column called project status. The display name is project status. There's space in between. But the actual name, that's the actual logical name of that column is this PTA underscore project status. It is this name we're going to use in our trigger condition. So I'm just going to go back to the flow. Yes. PTA underscore project status. Now I'm not done. I want to say if PTA underscore project status is equal to completed. But before I decide to go that far, I'm going to go back to click on this to show us something. Now on project status, remember that we have choices and we have label, we have values. If you leave that like that, it's going to return the value. So you need to add label to tell your trigger condition that it is actually the label value we need to check for. So I'm going to do this. Yes, this is it. So project status underscore label. I'm going to close it with the first. Oh, oops, I didn't add box brace. I thought I typed. Okay, shit. So it's going to be box brace, single quotes, this, close my single quotes. You might be wondering, oh, how do we get to learn all these lines of code? You just interpret what the action you want to carry. So I'm going to do comma and say completed. So what this line of code means is this: if the trigger condition is equal to, or the trigger condition is equal to the modification, remember that it is when an item is modified. Now the modification has to take place on project status, and it has to be when project status label is completed. I'm going to click done, And yes, so the next thing would now be an approval. So Power Automate has approval. So I'm going to just search for that, start and wait for an approval. Would wait for that to load in a bit. Yes, so while we're waiting, Power Automate start and wait for approvals come in either your mail, any of this. It comes in your mailbox, it comes in Microsoft Teams. So you can, and it comes with the approval app, depending on if you have it embedded to Teams. So when an approval is sent, or when an approval, yes, when an approval is sent, the recipient of that approval gets it via their mailbox, and they can either approve or reject in that email. They can also get it on Microsoft Teams if they use Microsoft Teams. So I'm just going to click start and wait for an approval. This means that the process should not continue until that approval is concluded. Now I have to select rather the approval type. We have different types of approval type. This is approve or reject. Everyone must approve. Approve or reject, first to respond. Custom responses, wait for all responses. Custom responses, wait for one response. I'm going to explain very fast. The first one, approve or reject, means that everyone must approve, means that the button they would see, the button they are supposed to click on, the text is going to be approve and or reject. So they can either approve or reject. And if we're sending this to multiple people, it means that all of them has to approve or all of them has to reject. All of them has to approve before that item is approved. So there are sometimes you want to send out notification and we need multiple people to action on it. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that we select approve or reject, everyone must respond. So the notification goes to all of them and everyone must approve before the item is approved. The next one, approve or reject, first to respond, is similar to this, just that once one person has actioned on it, it proceeds to the next stage. The approval is completed. Custom responses, wait for all responses, means that you can modify what you want your users to see. Sometimes we want approve, reject, return. Those are custom responses. They're different from approve and reject, and this is where we use them. So I'm just going to click approve or reject, first to respond. This would load up some other items and I need to add details. So the title of the notification, approval notification, would be project completion. I'm going to assign it to Ayotunde, that's a specific person. So I'm just going to type his name so that he can help approve it. So I don't have to show everything myself. Then the details of this will just be one line. Please confirm that the project. Now, the project name would always come with the trigger. So this is it here, project name. I'm going to select it. Please confirm that the project name has been completed. That's all for the approval. Now, when the project has been confirmed completed, we need to send an email to congratulate the manager, project manager, on the successful completion of that. So we need to check if this approval action was actually approved or rejected. So I'm just going to do a condition. And that's how it works. Build the action and search for an action card that works with that. Please pardon my internet. So I'm just going to do that again. Okay, yes, so we have condition. And so there's something called outcome, and that is the result of the approval. I'm just going to search for that outcome. Yes. So I'm going to say if the result of the approval, that's the outcome of the approval, is equal to approve. So you can use condition to do either of these. Check for any scenario. It can be if it contains approve, if it does not contain, any of this could work. but this is what I want to do. If it is equal to approve, I'm going to send an email to project manager to tell him that, well done, the project has been confirmed, completed. So I'm going to search for send an email. And this would be the last flow that would build today. So I'm just going to send an email, rename like I always do, send an email to project manager. Yes. Now, remember that Victoria has been the project manager from the onset, but in this case, Ayatunde is the sales personnel that would approve the request. Now, this is Victoria. The subject would be project completion. Completion. And the details would be, dear Vicky, the sales personnel approved the successful of, I can decide to add the project name rather than say of the project. So project name came with the trigger. I'll put a full stop. The next would be congratulations, you and the team. Built 3 flows in just how many minutes? I'm going to click. Let's check. Are we missing anything out? Okay, so it's one thing about Power Automate Flow is this. It is going to tell you where the issue is coming from. So I'm just, can you see we have errors? Yes, that's intentional. So we're going to check at equals trigger output, open bracket, that's close, question mark, this, single quotes, or I typed a full stop here instead of a comma. So we have to be patient while typing code and also make sure that we're typing the right thing. Can you see that when I corrected that, the error disappeared? So I'm going to click save. And after it's saved, we're going to test it out. Yes, we're almost done. So to test this, we have to go to the project and change the status. So I'm just going to go to our model-driven app. Remember, we need to go to projects. So this is projects and Power Automate flows. So I'm going to change the status to completed and would save, come back to see our flow, to run project completion. So I'm going to click back since we saved and click on the flow to get the details. So yes, while we wait for that, we can see right now that the flow is running, and that's how we monitor flow. So I'm just going to click on this to get more details about the flow. So yes, it's currently stopped at start and wait for approval. I'm sure Ayatunde right now would have gotten an approval request saying
Yes.
he should approve. All right, very good.
Yes, I've
So
gotten that.
do you want to share your screen?
I'll just take a screenshot.
Okay,
Just
that's
drop it in
fine.
the
You
chat.
can help drop it in the chat window. Yes, so Ayatunde is going to approve, and I'm also going to wait for an email in my mailbox to tell me that it has been approved, and it will send a congratulatory email to me. So sometimes when you need to monitor your flow to know what point it has gotten to, what point it is currently stuck at, you can come here to check the run history. So Ayatunde got the screenshots of the approval request. I'm going to take just a screenshot of it so that we can share. So now that Ayatunde has approved, if you noticed, the flow has changed. This currently changed the color from pending, that yellow, to green, and it shows that it has been actioned on. So I'm just going to drag this to the screen so we can see the approval request. So this is what an approval request looks like. This is the details of the approval request I typed. Please confirm that the Power Automate flows has been completed. And I'm sure I actually clicked on approve. Yes, and now that he has approved, I'll check the condition. Yes, it was true. So he clicked on approve. The next thing would be the email that goes to Victoria. So I'm going to go and check my mailbox. Yes, and this is it. If you notice, so Microsoft Outlook is smart enough to do this pop-up when it sees the word congratulations in an email content. So dear Vicky, the sales personnel has approved the successful completion of Power Automate Flows. Remember, on this, we added the project name, and this is it, Power Automate Flows. Congratulations to you and the team. So at this point, we're going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to say thank you for joining. If you have questions, you can either drop it on the chat window or raise your hand. Thank you, Ayatunde.
Fantastic. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I'm sure a lot of people are really enjoying what they saw. This is excellent stuff. How the automation goes back and forth and all of that. And I got the mail also to be able to approve. All right. Thank you very much, Victoria. So everybody will see that now the application makes a lot of sense, right? From the Canvas app to the model-driven app to the automation that powers the entire application in this case, right? And that's the entirety of what we've done in this entire series, showing us how to build the Canvas app, the model-driven app, the automation that powers the workflow of this system. All right. Thank you very much, Victoria, for this time. Thank you, Omolola, also for the model-driven side. You walk us through earlier. Powerful. I would encourage us. I was really encouraged over the week, having one or two, three people reach out to me about them trying out and all of that. And if you've not seen last week's session, it's currently on the YouTube. I'm sure you all got the mail I sent earlier. The last week's session is currently on YouTube, already uploaded. If I can even get link and drop it on the chat in case you want to go back, watch the last week's session, us up, and then we started the model-driven side. Plus, so today's all to it also, so we can go over and just follow through those steps. We create those steps on your own. When you make mistakes in this case. Now, next week, which is the final session, one of the things we'll be doing next week is we'll be having a lot of question and answers. We'll walk us through the entire process that we've built from top to bottom. I will be doing that. I'll be walking us through the entire process from top to bottom, everything we've done. We'll test the whole system from top to bottom again. And then we'll have conversations with everybody. Your questions, come with your the things that you don't understand and that you want to ask, and then we'll have all of Victoria, everybody will be on the call to be able to answer questions that we might have in any of whatever it is with our app series that we've been able to go through. Before then, I believe you can go through the videos to watch and then come with your questions next week, as we wrap up this session next week also. I think we'll wrap up today's session here. Anybody, if you have questions at all, you can drop on the chat before we wrap up. If there's no question, I guess we'll have next week. Don't worry, everybody's mic will be unmuted, so we could have a back and forth conversation next week. Get your questions, get your thoughts in, and then see how we can, help everybody start their journey. Next week, we'll also be sharing some materials with us. Okay, we'll be sharing materials that you can also use to continue learning. We'll share materials on how you can also practice and prepare in case you want to write any related exams in this line or get certified in any of these in Power Apps technological skills. So we'll be sharing a lot of good info next week just to complement everything we've been able to go through over the past 4 weeks. All right, thank you everybody again for joining. This session will be uploaded immediately on the platform. I will send an email out to everybody. All right, and then please go over them again and then do have a wonderful time learning. All right, thank you everybody for joining. Please do have a wonderful night rest, afternoon rest, wherever it is you're joining us from all over the world. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you all next week as we wrap up this series. All right, do have a wonderful evening, everybody. Ciao. Thank you, Victoria.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for so much.
Thank you for having me, Ayo.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, we're grateful. Thank you, Amanola. Thank you, everybody. All right, do have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.